guys, welcome to the channel, and this is another speed build and part of my Magnolia or Building Magnolia series, in which I'm attempting to give Magnolia Promenade or Promenade, however you want to say it, a little bit of life, because I never really know what to do with it, and it's always just kind of a world I never play in, so I thought it'd be nice to add some retail lots, some food places where my Sims can go and hang out, because I don't really have a lot of retail lots or you know, just community lots in general. So this particular build, it's kind of like a communal shopping plaza in a way. It's kind of like, it's different because you can get to it from either side of the build. So I thought that the best thing to do with it would be to build a few different shops all the way around it. And you can see there across the street I did a bookstore, which you can check out. I'll provide a link to the playlist down below for you guys if you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, so on the left side of this front part, it's a bridal suite, and in the middle is a salon, and on the right is a flower shop. And the whole idea of this particular plaza is basically everything your bride or groom needs for their wedding day. So you'll have a bridal shop, a salon, a flower shop, then there's a bakery for the cakes, and there is a travel agency for the honeymoon. So that was the whole idea of this particular square. And now I'm working on the bridal suite itself. And usually in bridal boutiques, you'll have like a check-in counter, or, you know, where you would actually pay for stuff. So I have that there in the front straight away. And usually they'll have mannequins displaying their most stylized or expensive wedding gowns that show in the window, just to entice people to come in. And so I wanted to make sure I had that in the window. And they're easily accessible, you know, if in case your Sim likes a wedding dress on one of those instead of the ones upstairs, then they can do that. And then this is just a seating area. Usually bridal appointments or bridal fittings are by appointment only, so maybe that's where you would sit and wait for your appointment if it's not ready yet, or if your stylist isn't ready yet. And upstairs is also part of the bridal suite. So up here is more of a typical, you know, wedding or bridal shop, where you have the huge mirrors that have like 3 sides where you can see your wedding gown from like whatever side you're looking at. And I made sure to put a few different mirrors around the upstairs, just in case you had a few different Sims or whatever. And then unfortunately, there's not really anything that resembles dresses in the game, or that, you know, that look like they're hanging from something. So I basically just used the robe and I hung a bunch of them under this like metal slat that came with Get to Work. So it kind of gives you the idea of, you know, these are wedding dresses that are hanging, that, you know, the stylist, or I don't know what they'd be called, but the employees in the wedding shop would help you, you know, pull dresses from off the shelves. That's kind of what that idea is for. And then the colored robes on the other side are meant to be like bridesmaids dresses in a way, because there is usually bridesmaids dresses offered at wedding boutiques as well, not just wedding dresses, typically. And usually outside on like a plaza like this, or a block, I guess it would be called, you'd have benches and, you know, mailboxes for the buildings around the place. So that's kind of what I was thinking of doing for this particular lot. And since this is the flower shop, I definitely wanted to have a ton of flowers on the outside of it. because usually flower shops will have a bunch of different flowers and pots outside of their shop just to, you know, entice people to look around and step inside. This is the salon, which is in between, and what I'm doing now, or what you just saw, was usually there's a little room or like an offshoot of the main room where the stylist will go and color, like mix the like chemicals and all that other stuff for dyeing hair. So that's kind of the idea of that little space. It's not like super functional or anything, but I wanted it to seem realistic anyway. And I do end up changing the layout of the salon a little bit because I felt like there wasn't enough room for the stylist stations as well as the wash stations where they would wash your hair before cutting it. Yeah, so I just changed the layout of this. I brought it back into the building a little more, and I love that we have these blow dryer and brush little sets that came with the Parenthood pack. I think that was really perfect for this type of thing because it reminds me of how hairstylists have like their own little I don't know, their own little setup going on with their hair dryers and their brush sets on their stations. So yeah, that's what I was doing with that. And at this point I put the wash stations kind of behind down the hallway, and I thought having a cabinet in there would be good too, just, you know, for when the hairstylists need a little extra storage, putting things they don't need normally or something. And then these shelves here next to the counter, I put different bottles and stuff that reminded me of hair products that maybe the salon would sell. I actually made everything for sale. I went in and made everything that I thought would be good, you know, to sell, because the whole thing is a retail lot. So if you do download this, a lot of this stuff will already be set for sale. So if you don't want something for sale, you'd have to go back and set it yourself. But I really wanted to test it and make sure everything worked fine. So I set everything myself before I uploaded it. And as you can see, I put these diplomas next to the station, next to the hairstylist station, because I noticed that at salons, normally the stylist will put their diploma next to their station just to show that they went to cosmetology school and they're not just, you know, they're chopping hair and not having a degree. So I thought that was kind of cute to include. So on the other side of the flower shop in the back of the building is the bakery, and the bakery is it's kind of small considering, especially the kitchen. And what I noticed when I was testing it out was she was actually mixing the stuff on the counter that I used for the front where the checkout is, and then she would take it over to the kitchen and bake it. So everything works, but I think the routing is a little weird sometimes. So she didn't always use the counters in the front. Sometimes she used the ones in the actual kitchen. There is a metal kind of shelving unit behind the bakery display case, and that is for bread. And I actually worked at Panera, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a bakery, kind of like a fast food bakery cafe. And I remember we had these metal shelves and they would put bagels and bread up there. So I actually had my sim go and I like cheated to max out her baking and cooking skill, but I had her bake all these bagels and bread and I put them on the shelving display, which was pretty fun. And the little display case in the front is kind of just showcasing some cupcakes, which I also made. So the bakery is fully stocked when you download it. I'm not sure if the food stays unspoiled, even though it's set for sale. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah. And then there's a fridge in the bakery, like in the main bakery, because I noticed in a lot of bakeries and things like that, they'll have like a fridge with ice cream cakes and desserts that need to be chilled. So that's kind of why that's there. And then this little room on the other side of the actual bakery is kind of like a private office almost for the baker, and there's a little table in there, and I imagine the baker goes in there with a client to have a consultation about whatever cake they want to make or something like that. I remember doing that kind of when I was testing out cakes for my wedding, so I really wanted to include something like that. And then this is the flower shop, which is probably my favorite shop out of all of them in the square. What I actually did was take out every single plant from every pack and kind of lay them out on the floor because I wanted to make sure I used all of them from every pack. If you do want to have this build, some things you may not have if you don't have all the packs, so just keep that in mind because I did use like every single one of them. But yeah, so this is the flower display. I tried to kind of put them in somewhat of different categories. Like I have the roses and the more elaborate flower arrangements on one display, and then I have the more contemporary looking flower arrangements on one, and then more traditional looking ones on another. So that's kind of how I displayed those. And then I have some potted plants displayed in the corner. So this is kind of like a little apartment or flat above the flower shop, and I imagine the florist lives above the flower shop that they own. And so I really wanted to make it kind of cozy and small and kind of boho, just a lot of like little flower motifs, which you'll see in a minute. I imagine that the florist that lives here is very thrifty, like they go to maybe flea markets or vintage shops, and they kind of have an upscale vibe to their apartment. So that's what I was kind of going for with this. I don't think you can live on retail lots. I may be wrong though, but so I don't know if the upstairs is functional or not, you know, as an actual place where your sim can live, but I thought it was kind of a cute thing to add just for story's sake. So the last shop here next to the bakery is the travel agency, and or it could just be, you know, an office of someone's that could work too. But for the purpose of this quote bridal square, I thought it would be fun to have some sort of travel agency, even though like in real life I don't think most people would go to a travel agency. I think most people would just book their honeymoon or their vacation online or whatever. So I think it's more of an old-fashioned type of thing to do, but again, you know, for those of you who like to take screenshots or for story, I think this would be really cute to have. So I ended up having just one desk because I wanted to have a little waiting area for people who are waiting for their appointment with the agent. And thanks to someone suggesting it, they actually suggested to have the mural room that I have, which is all the murals from City Living, and put it on top so I can just access it even if I don't have a lot of room. So thank you so much. I forget who suggested that, but thank you. That really helped me a lot in this build because I wanted to use some murals definitely, especially this one and the flower mural that kind of matches the artwork. But we're almost done, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the next one. I think it'll be a pizza place. But thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!